computer so we can put it back on YouTube later. Right, we're live and up and running. For those of you who didn't hear the earlier section because my internet broadband connection wasn't strong enough for everything that's going down, so I've closed down a lot of the backup procedures from the last interview. Just welcome to Sian O'Neill, who's the local candidate for Milton under Wychwood, and also representing the Sue Carpenter, was it? Sue?
Letitia Carter, standing for PCC, and Sue Richards, who's standing for the County Councillor.
Lovely, brilliant. And we talked a bit about Sian's background. She was a teacher for many years and had lived in the village of Shipton, was that correct? For 31 years. So, okay, that's wonderful. Okay, we just got on to talking about policing, and I'd made the comment that the residents were concerned about dog fouling, vehicle theft, and the Nottingham knockers, and nothing seemed to be done about it. What was the Labour Party's view on this issue? Sian, do you want to repeat what the view was?
Well, it's funding, isn't it? And yeah. The Conservative government have been cutting back on the funding for the last 11 years. And these areas, particularly the police, has suffered from the cutbacks, and they're now threatening. They've closed police stations. They've closed the one in Chipping Norton. There was one in Charlbury when we first came here, and now they're talking about closing the one in Witney. And the presence of the police is quite reassuring when we see the police, and they've cut back on the cars, and apparently there's only one car for this whole district for the police, and
right,
it does limit.
Okay, I take your point. That does seem to be not enough, and if two burglars are acting in concert at the same time, one of them is going to get away scot-free, basically. So, which is not what we want in a law-abiding community. Okay, I think that's the same as every party has said, and that's probably a national issue that the central government needs to reallocate funding to the services that matter locally. That's in essence what you're saying. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely.
Central government does need to put funds into policing.
Right.
As with a lot of things that the central government needs to do, put more money.
Okay. So what about the county council? Talk to me about what things the Labour Party would do different on the county council if they got elected for this area. What would you like to see happen?
Well, when you say different, do you mean, because as far as I understand the county council, the Labour Party are working hard and working together to get things moving. Because of austerity, we did lose our buses from the villages, and Laura Price, one of our Labour Party members, did work really hard on reinstating the buses for the villages.
Right. Okay.
And working, they worked together and managed to get the buses reinstated to some extent. Okay.
And what about education? Would you do anything different in education or early years schooling or social care?
Well, again, funding. We've got to put money. We've got to invest in our youngsters. We've got to invest in our youngsters. The ACE Centre in Chipping Norton is just about running. And we do need to invest in young people. When we first came here 31 years ago, we were taken around Burford School, and the head was really thrilled to be able to tell us that the classes were no more than 25. And they were aiming to get down to 20, if not fewer, in a class. And Oxfordshire County Council did have education as one of their priorities. Again, central government took the restrictions away from the county council, and now we have classes 30 plus.
Seriously, classes. I mean, I don't know much about education. My children have all grown up. So in the local Witchwood Primary School, would they have a class of 30 plus?
Yeah.
That's frightening, isn't it? That's it. Yes. Okay.
Especially when you think that Oxfordshire County Council, as I say, 31 years ago when we first came, were putting lots of money, lots of resources into education, and here we are.
Okay, I understand that. So, okay. So you would funding, yes. Is that my microphone causing problems?
Sorry, you're waking up again. Sorry, is that why?
So I'm getting feedback from something. We're not on the phone together. Okay, let's plow on and see how we get on. I don't know what's causing that feedback. No, my backup devices are not running.
Could you just repeat what you said? That's why.
No, I think we broke up there. I was hearing something in the background, and I don't know what it was. So, okay.
Right.
Okay, but it's funding. Okay. There's been a lot of concern in the villages about planning decisions. What's your view on the major planning decisions over the last 3 or 4 years?
Well, planning is another difficult area, isn't it?
Yes.
Are you referring to anything in particular?
Yeah, the 2 housing developments in the village and the tennis club lights have caused a degree of controversy. What would be your view on that, and how will you formulate policy going forward?
Well, the floodlights, very controversial, and I can see both sides of the argument. To have the lights would give the youth of the village a chance to spend more time doing sport, something that they love. But you do have the residents who live very near, complaining that they would be affected by the lighting. And you know, where do priorities lie? Okay,
well, that's what district count, that's what local government's all about. It's about deciding.
And that's why it's really difficult.
Yes. Can you give any guidance as to which way the Labour Party might jump one way or the other on planning issues?
With well, again, it's a difficult one, but we would look at both sides and try and weigh up.
So if you've been on the planning committee and if it had been considered, which way would you have voted on the tennis club lights?
Well, being a teacher, I'm very much involved with the youth. I would have loved to have seen the lights.
And possibly some sort of compromise, maybe being turned off at 7:30.
Yes, absolutely. That's some sort of compromise.
Yes, okay, that's fine. I mean, on the Witchwood TV and the Witchwood Post, we are in regular discussion with both the tennis club and other people who live close to the tennis club about the issues involved. So because we want to be fair to both sides of the debate, and hence we've spoken. And I think probably the politicians in the community are reflecting the position of the village. i.e. opinion is divided, but we have to live together, and
Yes, yes. And we do have to provide for our youth as well,
yes,
because
yes.
we do have a diverse
Yeah.
population here.
Yes.
We do sort of go from the 100 odd right the way down to the tinies.
Yes.
And we do have to consider everybody's needs.
Yes.
And we've lost the youth club.
Yes.
And we do need to provide for our youth.
Would you increase local income tax to help fund services?
Local income tax.
Sorry, council tax, rather.
Council tax.
Would you increase the local taxes to help fund the services, the schools and the police?
Well, again, that is a difficult one. I don't want to take money from the poorer people or the less fortunate, and not then tax the more fortunate.
Yes.
Or so that is a difficult one on a local basis. But I do think income tax, you mentioned income tax, and I do think that income tax is fair enough.
Yeah.
And
okay, that actually was a point that one of the other politicians made. I think it was Liz Lessman, that local taxes tend to be regressive, whereas income tax is positive, i.e. that it goes up as income goes up. So it runs a risk of being fairer. So that puts the ball back in central government's court to fund the activity. Yeah. Okay, I understand that. That's a good point. So, okay, lovely. I'm just going to look at my question sheet. Parish councils. They appear to have very little power, but are very important to us. What's your view? What's your view on parish councils?
They are very important.
Yeah.
They are limited in what they can do.
Yeah.
But what they do is a jolly good job, and particularly in this area, they really take on board a lot more possibly than one would expect.
Yes.
And they do a good job.
Yeah.
Of parish council. Yeah.
So okay. Right. In the Witchwood Post and Witchwood TV, we like the idea of consensus politics rather than adversarial. And one of your colleagues in the Labour Party, who didn't want to be named, said, "Do you know there are some Conservatives who are doing some good things in Witney?" Okay. He also didn't name their names either. But what's your view of the other parties?
Well, yes, I know lots of people and from all walks of the political spectrum, and as people, fabulous.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
Not too sure about their policies, but or their politics.
Yeah.
But there we go. But I do think consensual. It's as long as we get things done, and we do have to have a fair representation.
Yes.
And I think that's very important. That it's not just one-sided, that you have more sort of, Conservatives and many Labour, like that you have, a nice balance, and the Green parties and the Liberal Dem, that we're there working towards a means.
Okay.
A good means. So
would you like to see...
It should be fair. It should be fair.
Would you like to see proportional representation in this country?
Now this has... I have to spend a little bit more time thinking about it recently. I did think yes. For a long time, I have always said proportional representation. And then someone mentioned something which escapes me at the moment. And I thought I must look into that in more detail.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
I think it did. So, yes. So you've done well. There have been politicians who have not always answered the question, but generally, as a group, you've done very well and answered most of the questions almost spot on. So that's been really good and encouraging, really. So last question. We've gone through them very quickly. Do you have any amusing stories of your time in politics?
Yes, I do. I have a lovely story which I like to say. So imagine there we are in Chipping Norton town centre with our red gazebo, our posters, Labour posters everywhere.
Yes.
And this man came down because we tend to put our gazebo by the Pelican Crossing in Chipping Norton.
Yes. Yeah.
And this person was walking down the road quite innocently.
Yeah.
He was heading towards the theatre.
Yeah.
It was the literary festival in Chipping Norton. And he was walking down and he went, "Hello, good luck." And I went all fish-like because I recognised the face but couldn't bring the name to mind. And I went, "Wow, wow, 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 wow," in my usual manner. And my colleagues who had been sort of otherwise engaged sort of turned around to see what this commotion that I was making was all about. And they went, "Ah, it's Tony Robinson!" And Tony Robinson came and had his photograph taken with him.
Oh, right, that's lovely. So,
yes.
So if Jeremy Clarkson's listening to this broadcast, if you ever want to visit the Labour, if Jeremy Clarkson is listening to this broadcast, because he lives near Chipping Norton, doesn't he? The Labour Party will welcome you with open arms when they're next. But no, Tony Robinson, I think he's a socialist, I think, from memory. So okay. Last question. We asked the Dr. Sodery what they were going to do to celebrate the end of lockdown. What would you like to see the village do, and what are the Labour Party going to do to celebrate the end of lockdown?
The end of lockdown. Well, we're just sort of coming out of it, aren't we?
21st of June.
I don't want us to go mad, really, so that we don't end up with having more lockdowns, although that might be a possibility. It might be a possibility. I mean, we don't know what's ahead of us.
Yes.
So, but to see friends, to be able to sit down and have a chat and a drink and a catch up and see family. Yeah, fabulous.
Okay, lovely.
And can I just say, I've just had my second jab today.
Yeah. Oh, your second jab. Oh, right. Oh, well done.
My
lovely.
Second vaccination today.
Okay,
yes.
Lovely. Okay.
And, yes.
You're doing very well. Is the arm sore?
Sorry?
Is the arm sore?
Not yet. Not as sore as it was the first time. So, crossed. Yeah.
Right. Well done.
But I was going to say, if I keel over, just dial 999.
Okay. I've had one jab so far, and I think I've got the second one coming up in a couple of weeks. So that's good. Okay.
It was
lovely.
AstraZeneca. So.
Okay. You do sound like a fascinating person. I mean, tell me more about your time as a teacher. What did you enjoy about teaching? Where did you teach?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
What? And
again, when I first came to Oxfordshire, I was teaching adults. I was mainly involved with adults because I had 4 very young children, and evening classes suited me best, obviously.
Yeah.
And just loved it, and just loved the whole aspect. And the adult ones, my favourite stories about teaching adults was when I would have predominantly women come to me and they said, "Look, I left school at 14 and I've been sent by my firm to do this." I used to teach accounting.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I was teaching GCSE accounting.
Okay.
And they said, "I left school at 14 and And, you know, really, you know, I said, don't worry about it. Just come in, see what you make of it. And, you know, and at the end of the year, they'd come in, that would be their sort of introduction in September. By the end of the year, and they'd come out of the exam, because I always went to greet them after they came out of the exam. And they said, do you know, even if I fail, I have loved every minute of being on the course. And I said, no, you won't fail, you'll get an A. And they'd look at me as if, really?
Right.
And I'd go meet them. I'd go and meet them when they got their results, and they'd get the A.
Yes. So,
fantastic. And then children with little ones.
Yeah.
And especially little tiny ones, because, you know, I've done the whole spectrum.
Okay.
And they come into school, and sometimes they don't want to leave their mums, so I just start singing, and we don't start singing, and lovely.
Okay.
Within seconds, they'd be singing, and we'd be having a jolly good time. And
that sounds amazing. You must have been an amazing teacher. So when you taught accounting, did you use Frank Wood's Business Accounting?
Yes, I did.
That was the first accounting book I ever read. So you made Frank Wood's.
Was it the green and white one?
No, I've got it.
Was it the green and white one?
I wanted to decide whether I wanted to train as an accountant, so I went and read Frank Wood's Business Accounting.
Yes.
Okay.
So
you must be the.
So were you an accountant, or?
I was for 38 years. I've retired now, so
I went to do. I started my my articles with Pete Marwick and Mitchell.
Yes.
In a little office, grotty little office in Carmarthen.
Oh, right.
And after 6 weeks, I turned around and said, "No, I'm going off to London. I'm going to do dance and drama. I'm going to do a teacher's training in dance and drama." And as soon as I qualified as a teacher, it was the accounting that everybody wanted. Right. And I loved teaching it.
That's very good.
Loved teaching accounting.
Well, I think often with teaching, the thing is to have flair, isn't it? And you can make accounting boring, or you can make it interesting. So I remember having lectures from a company law lecturer who said that you have to remember, Alan, there's lots of people who know nothing about company law. You can tell them they're the happy ones, and so he was right. So you can go through life knowing nothing about company law. It's just so heaven if you don't. So well, that's been fascinating. It's been lovely to get to see you and see clearly you've done a lot of public service in the past, and I occasionally. Well, if you read my social media posts, you'll see I have a lot of banter with a man called Martin Crabb, who's the life president of Whitney Roadrunners, and he, like you, has given a lifetime of public service, and there's something very humbling about people who've done that. So thank you very much. I have loved talking to you. And hopefully we'll speak again. So, okay. You probably want to know which socialist politician I voted for. It was Duncan Enright, actually, in one general election when he was standing. So, Duncan, if you're listening to this, you had my vote. His son used to come along to Whitney Chess Club, and Duncan was the most annoyingly good chess player. So you may not know that about him, but yes. Yeah. Okay. Lovely. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you well tomorrow, as I have done to all the candidates. And what I want the village to do is to vote, because we can't complain if we get the wrong people then. Okay, lovely. Thank you so much, Sean. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
I'm glad we got something sorted.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Okay, cheers. Bye.
Bye.